Great. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi, welcome. Welcome, Joyce, and welcome, Ty. Joyce is from Diageo in this building and works on Guinness, and Ty is the Vice President of Strategy at Footlocker. I would love for you guys to do a quick introduction, your kind of marketing background and journey, and then how Inclusivity has kind of played into that journey.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neal. I am the VP of Strategy for LEAD at Footlocker. LEAD stands for Leading Education and Economic Development. I've been a part of this initiative program for about 5 years, almost 5 years. I've been with Footlocker for 19 years. Spent a lot of my career in product, and now I'm really part of work, right, where Footlocker is really looking to empower and invest the communities that we serve. So that's me.
Cool. Hi everyone, I'm Joyce. Like Haidi said, I have the very lucky job of looking after the Guinness brand in the US, and I am also a proud member of the leadership team of PAN, which is our Asian Employee Resource Group, business resource group here at Diageo. I just sparks to believe it is my 13th year at Diageo, which is wild, and I think in terms of kind of why I'm here and what gets me excited to be having these types of conversations, I will say I think inclusivity was never an active part of growing up. Like I grew up in New York, and so I was very lucky to grow up in a very diverse world, and so I never actually thought about it until the COVIDs of the world happened, and the first time we kind of had to find our voice and make a statement. So I'm really excited to be in the positions that I am now to be able to continue having those conversations. So thanks for having me.
Great tenure on both places. Love to hear a little bit about kind of the inclusivity and how it's been brought into your marketing strategies, right? And how that has been really into the journey of building that brand equity for you guys from a high level perspective, and then I'll kind of go into more details.
Yeah, it's really important that representation matters, that we have diversity in the way that we show up, and that we're representing all backgrounds from race to gender to etc. Within our market structures. We really want to be within the communities and really show our consumers and also our partners that we really care about diversity, how we are really connected to the people that support us.
Yeah, I love that. And for me, it's honestly really simple. It's two things. It's celebrating and supporting communities, right? And I really believe that those two things, you cannot have one without the other. Like, of course, you cannot, just go out and show stories without properly and authentically supporting the communities. But I do really believe that celebration is really powerful too, right? I think we've all seen and heard the heavy stories, and while it's really important to talk about the issues, I think it's also really important to shine a light on the joy and celebration of these communities. It's not always hard, and people want to be celebrated. So I think, to me, it's really as simple as that. And I think for brands, especially probably a lot of the folks in this room, this is this next generation of the consumers we're trying to reach, right? It's funny, I work in the beer industry, so as I'm sure you can imagine, I'm often in front of rooms where folks don't often look like me. We've had conversations about why the fabric of the folks on stage don't look like them, and the response is really simple. It's like, it might not look like this room, but what it does look like is our consumers. So I think that's really important for us to remember, is like, this is not just the right thing to do, it's also good for business as well.
I love that. That's fine. Yes, it's good business. It's good.
Exactly. And in terms of kind of your brands and the marketing teams, and even from the organization standpoint, from a high level, what are some partnerships or examples that you can give, like a specific case study where a partnership has gone really well? It could be like a really big marketing initiative for the city, or even something small where we kind of think about inclusivity as more physical attributes, right? Like skin color, religion, things that you can really see, but the smaller ones where you can't really see, like disabilities or things you can't just tell from the physical aspects of it. What has driven that growth, or in terms of smaller strategies where you've seen really make a difference in some of the successes that have driven?
I think for us, one of the biggest success stories or case studies actually happened at the beginning of this year in February. We partnered and sponsored the Pencil Lewis College at the Footlocker footwear studio, which really is a place for upcoming designers to have hand-on design experience in a place where they can actually show up and do their work. And we sponsored it, and we partnered with Pencil, which was the first HBCU in Detroit, Michigan. And it was just a phenomenal experience that we were able to not only give back to our partners, but also show up in the community with having that space within that school.
And what was the response like in terms of for the brand and for the equity and from the community as well?
It was phenomenal. We're not just talking about it, but we're actually doing it. And it was just a phenomenal response from the media, from the consumers, and obviously our partners.
And is this going to be kind of a long-term strategy or kind of building onto some of the pillars that you guys have?
Yes, it's actually a part of our education pillar within LEAD. Pencil has been a long-standing partner for many years. And we just continue to elevate our partnership. I actually was there this weekend. Pencil Lewis College hosted the Black Footwear Forum, where industry, many brands and industry leaders came out to just really celebrate diversity within the space. And I was actually honored this weekend with just a life-changing moment for me where I received the Neal Community Award. And just to know that you're in a space of just, you're doing the work, but you're doing it because it's just, for me, I'm pretty much just working on my purpose, right? Even though it was my job. So to be recognized for that was just a moment I was like,
Awesome.
It's amazing. I'm sad to report there's no Joyce award yet, but one day I aspire to be like you, Ty. My example is actually not Guinness, if that's okay. So there is a program that we've supported at Diageo for a couple of years now. It's called Diageo. It's a super Asian cocktail pop-up. It was started by these two amazing, badass Asian female bartenders. If you've ever been to something like a Miracle on Main Street, it's kind of like that, but like over the top, super Asian. And what I love about it is a few things. It's called Diageo, which translates to "it's not okay." I think in our culture, it's been ingrained in a lot of us from very young to kind of just go with the flow and not cause a scene. And so, things like "it's okay," is very common vernacular for the Asian community. And when all the kind of anti-Asian sentiment was bubbling up throughout COVID, this was a really powerful voice that they took and a stand to say, like, it's not okay, and it's okay to say it's not okay, and help others find their voice as well. But I think back to what I was saying earlier about, like, yes, the support and the issues are important, but also the celebration is so important. Like, this is an amazing experience. You guys should check it out if it's coming to one of your cities. I would highly, highly recommend it. It's joyful and it's loud and it's delicious and it's fun. And it's just such a reminder of like the vibrancy of this community. And what I really love about it is that it's not, if you ever attend, and a lot of our brands have gotten involved, from Kokori, which is one of our Japanese whiskeys, Johnny Walker, and many more. When you go, the audience is very diverse, right? I think that's the power and magic of like inclusivity, especially in this new generation. It's not just Asian people making drinks for other Asian people. It's everyone who wants to be part of this culture and enjoy the celebration. And what I love about that is, to me, that's like such an important way to bring people in, right? Is showing them the joy and making them have fun and want to be a part of it. And they have that saying about like something about bees, like it's easier to catch bees with honey. So I don't know, that's always one that sticks in my mind, because it definitely is easier to catch bees with honey, and probably even easier with bubble tea cocktails, because who doesn't love a bubble tea cocktail?
That sounds like an awesome event. Please send me all the details. I love cocktails and very Asian things. But yeah, that's a great example of just kind of showing your community, right? Showing the inclusiveness by through food and feeding people and drinks. What's kind of like a smaller advice or tip that you guys can give to other marketers where, it's not really always top of mind when you're thinking about or talking about inclusivity, that could really kind of build in some more brand equity where it feels more authentic and feels more true to that brand and to the products, instead of, just trying to do it because it's a trend or it's kind of, going viral on social.
Yeah, I think authentic storytelling, right? To be able to tell the narrative of, the product that it's doing, or for them to be able to tell their own story about, what they believe in, how they even partner with you as a brand, and they'll be able to tell it. So then from that, it actually creates a brand loyalty, right? The consumer is more willing to come to you as a retailer, in my case, because they feel like what you're doing is for them.
So I don't know who said this originally, but I heard it from Becky G, which is the grass is greener where you water it. And I think that's such a great reminder for me and for my team and everyone I work with is back to the point about intentionality, right? Like you cannot just show up once a year during the month and celebrate and call it a day. It's really about the everyday. It's the 365, right? Like we say this all the time. It's almost become a joke. It's like, I'm not only Asian, I'm Lunar New Year, I'm Asian all year round. And so I think to me it's really about putting in the time, nurturing, being open, and being really vulnerable to listen and really understand other people's experiences and perspectives, because I think really it's that like intentionality and putting in the work that I think is what leads to the authentic storytelling and leads to these like transformational programs and initiatives that really make a lasting impact more than kind of one clip of a year.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, it breaks through, right? You can see it, you can feel it, and I think that's the best way to.
And in terms of the audiences that, and the programs that you both brands have developed, where do you see a lot of that for the new generation, right? How does that kind of break through when they are experiencing different behaviors or kind of getting their information in different meetings?
Yeah, so I think for Guinness is an interesting one, right? So I think a lot of people, especially in the US, they know us as an Irish beer. I think they probably drink us on St. Patrick's Day, maybe when you're in an Irish pub, maybe not any of the other days. But I actually think what has given Guinness such incredible staying power throughout the years has been our ability to adapt and really ingrain ourselves in different communities. I'm sure, this is a fun fact that hopefully some of you folks in the room know, but Africa is one of the biggest markets for Guinness globally, and for them, like that is their Guinness. They don't think about it as a different brand coming from a different country, like that is their brand. And I think for me, as we really distill down kind of how do we find ways to be relevant to different types of communities, to different generations. From a Guinness perspective, at least, it's not about our heritage, it's not about where we're made, it's really about like the Irish spirit, right? Which is about being warm, it's about being welcoming, it's about finding those like little moments of joy that take your everyday get together and turn it into something more special. And I think that is what really resonates across all different types of communities, probably even more so among diverse communities. So actually, I think for me, it's really around distilling down to what is like really the core and the purpose of your brand. That is not about the demographics, it's not about the statistics, and I would bet it's probably relevant across more communities than you think.
Yeah, and then for even in the work that I do through this Lead initiative, this is Footlocker's way to really show up in all the communities we serve. You see that those stripes everywhere. This work really, the Lead initiative really proves that not only are we saying it, right, we're in those communities, but we're really showing up and supporting those communities through creating education and economic development opportunities. So I feel like actually doing the work and staying, true to it has been a distinct part of even just being at Footlocker as an employee as long as I have been, and also knowing that we actually are doing work and that we actually show up and just talk about it. So that one.
Action group. Kind of going back to Guinness and staying relevant in the industry, It's has such a long history and it's such an iconic brand. How do you stay relevant in terms of, more modern, more diverse consumers and kind of widening that, popularity of it as well? Do you think about it as, or how do you balance kind of your marketing strategies to not forget the old, but really kind of bring in and embracing the new?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have an amazing team that keeps me young and they tell me what's cool, so that definitely helps. Highly recommend it. But I think it's around finding the bits and pieces that are kind of magical and unique and distinctive to the brand, and finding new ways to bring that to life, right? So, before I worked at Diageo, which was not for very long, I worked for an independent music producer actually out of North Carolina, and his style of producing music was sampling. And so, there was always some debate about, is this as creative or as real as making your own music from scratch? And the way he always talked about it that was really inspiring is sampling is taking kind of the best of a previous generation and giving it new meaning to the next generation. And I think that's so true of so much of what we do on Guinness, right? So, so much of the brand has worked well, so it's not my job to change it, it's my job to kind of find those magical nuggets and make them bigger. And so from things like Guinness and oysters. Guinness and oysters, actually, fun fact, was the first ever recorded food pairing in history. And that's something that not a lot of people know, but everyone here knows now. And it's something that's worked. It's worked for us. And I think it's continuing to find new ways to bring that to life, right? Whether it's partnering with different chefs from different types of communities, different partners in different markets, and same with some of our iconic campaign work. So Lovely Day for Guinness, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the posters and bars. We brought that back as a tagline in our latest work with Jason Momoa, who's been a longtime brand fan, and he of course is very diverse. And so again, I think it's not like having a checklist of being like, we haven't talked about this community or it's this month coming up. It's just finding the authentic parts of your brand's purpose and you're really bringing that to life for this next generation.
Yeah, I agree that you're not going to turn the Guinness brand into a rainbow flag here. For Ty, speaker culture is usually very diverse and full of different personalities. How do you kind of leverage that equity already to really connect with certain communities or bring out the specific stories of the unsung heroes or the great customers that are making sure that they're bringing the brand into the product that they're using?
Yeah, I think I said it a lot today, but it's back to being just authentic, right? And being able to have that connection to understand exactly what those consumers want and need. And speaker culture is fun. Right? It's like, so really understanding, meeting them where they are, right? And I think Footlocker does an amazing job at that. And really, again, back to just buying them again, right? Because we are actually showing up in the communities and connecting with them directly and really understanding what they need and really reacting to that. And that's part of that's how we show up as a brand, just in the culture.
It's great. It's in the DNA. All right, we are going to open it up to the floor for Q&A. Any questions for Ty or Joyce? Go ahead.
Thank you. Ty, this is for you. I think if for people in the room and for those brands who are just starting to maybe dabble in marketing with multiple and inclusive communities, can you speak to the power of partnering with HBCUs? I think that's super important. And how much of your time is actually spent educating those internally partners about the power of HBCUs?
What a great question. I'm actually an alumni of a HBCU, Hampton University. Congratulations.
I'm going homecoming in 2 weeks.
Oh, look at that. I mean, from just the talent itself, right? I was just at the Black Footwear Forum at Pennsylvania College, and the diversity of thought, right? What these students are actually bringing to different categories within just the business and industry. And I think it's important, right, to be able to give opportunity, right? So you have diversity of thought in the room when decisions are made. So creating time in the pipeline to be able to bring students through HBCUs to also have eventually a seat at the table too. Because again, I said earlier, representation matters. Right? And just like I'm in this seat today, being able to go back to my school along with working on HBCU projects is really important that I'm able to talk about it firsthand to also give those pay it forward. Really an opportunity to see that you can do it, right? So I really feel like it's important that there are more opportunities back to HBCUs because of the opportunity just for the future, so we can have a world of just more diverse thought.
Yeah, and I think it's also speaking of the importance of brands supporting and being part of those efforts.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you all so much.
Thank you.